guys, this is Bandito Bane, the well-rounded nerd, the Super Spider-Man fan, and the Warhammer noob. And it is finally happening. This nightmare of a run is almost over. Zeb Wells announced earlier that he is going to be leaving the Amazing Spider-Man, and we he will begin his final run in September with Amazing Spider-Man 58. And this just cannot come soon enough. I was convinced that he was going to leave in November, but then it was announced that he is going to do one more probably 5 or 6 issue run of Amazing Spider-Man, in which he is going to be closing the only good thing to me that happened in his run, which is Tombstone, making him a a, a legitimate threat instead of just a street thug or a gun for hire, a legitimate threat to the organized crime and in New York in general. But then we have so many overpromises, like the Beyond, where Ben Parker went out of the spider's shadow but became Make a Wish Venom with Chasm. And then what did Peter do? Oh, it turned out that he actually stole parts for to help his girlfriend who was stuck in uh, another dimension where she may have died if he didn't work fast enough when they refused to help him. And then there was the gang wars, an entire event where Spider-Man was just a side character too, and then there was then there's and then there's so many other things like characters acting out of character people always over promises and so much bad storytelling that it gets to you. And then, of course, there's Paul, the brand new punching bag to Amazing Spider-Man. You can just look him up, and there are videos that this guy is Spider-Man's greatest enemy, a guy that committed a genocide in his home reality, who also wanted to leave 2 kids that he most likely made orphans behind so he could increase the survival with Mary Jane. But also, this guy is the guy she left Peter for. This is the guy who who she says is a much better man than Spider-Man and Peter Parker combined. This is the person that she is most likely want them to marry, most likely want her to marry. And this really got the fans upset. This revelation of Paul wanted is what the fans have been going after Zeb Wells, and not just the with Paul, but everything. His storytelling, his character development, the constant character assassination of so many beloved characters such as Mary Jane, J. Jonah Jameson, Aunt Aunt May, and he really dropped the ball. He overpromised, underdelivered, and then you got the gaslighting by the senior editor Nick Lowe. Nick Lowe keeps keep is like his hype man, trying to continue to give us what promises. Oh, I just read the new issue of Spider-Man. You'll you'll love it. But then it turns out it was just a waste of time. People are just running around in circles, and it is time for a change. And the night while the nightmare is almost over, these it depends on who's going to be writing Amazing Spider-Man from now on. Because right now, I think Ultimate Spider-Man, their incredible sales, their non-stop reprints, they have been hitting Amazing Spider-Man in the sales numbers, and I think even Dan Slott is in denial, saying how putting Peter and Mary Jane back together would be like killing the golden goose. But this guy is, I wouldn't believe anything this guy says because he's the ultimate MJ hater. But but putting one of the things that Ultimate Spider-Man did was give the fans what they wanted: action, drama, and even romance with Peter and MJ. This is what people wanted, and hopefully it continues with Jonathan Hickman's run. But who's going to take over Amazing Spider-Man as it's over with Zeb Wells? Well, I'm going to give you at least some recommendations that I want to see on this. The first writer I want to see brought in to hopefully bring a better Amazing Spider-Man is Jeremy Adams. Jeremy Adams, if you don't know him, he did an awesome, incredible job with his run in Flash. And this came after Heroes in Crisis, in which DC completely destroyed Wally West Wally West's character in order to prop up Harley Quinn. So in Heroes in Crisis, they made it that Wally West, the second Flash, Kid Flash, had been killing people secretly and pinning the blame on Harley. And that's mainly because he didn't trust Harley because she claimed to be a reformed villain, but he didn't trust her. So he wanted to frame her and make her seem like that she was a villain again. But this actually made no sense. This just completely destroyed the character of Wally West. But then Jeremy Adams came in and he took over and he announced that it wasn't going to be Barry Allen who was going to be the new to be the Flash. It was going to be Wally West who was going to be the Flash in his run. And this was incredible because you have Wally West, his two children, his two twin children who also have the Speed Force, and they have a third expecting on the way. And this is just basically what you would expect: a father who's also a superhero, but is also trying to keep his family safe, while also keeping the city he lives in, and the world safe. And him and his wife are expecting another child. This is what you would expect from Spider-Man if they decided not to do one more day. So if anybody can fix it and fix these character assassinations that Zeb Wells did, which I think is very very telling of his character, it's most likely Jeremy Adams. And if Jeremy Adams does get the gig, I hope they let him have free reign. It's not just to keep the status quo and keep Peter single, because this is not what the fans want. The fans want Peter have at least some modem of sanity in this world that he lives in, with superheroes and corrupt criminals and a media that makes him look bad. Now, Nick Spencer actually was the previous Amazing Spider-Man writer, but then he left for Substack. And when we go through everything that he was doing up until the point where he left, he had a plan to undo One More Day. He basically gave it more of the concept of One More Day more depth when you see it, that Mephisto didn't actually take Peter and Mary Jane's wedding marriage because he was just being a dick and it was blessed by God, but he was afraid of what could come from their marriage, basically their daughter. And he also gave it that the Green Goblin was actually a demon working for Mephisto, which is why Harry Norman Osborn has this split personality, and he basically sacrificed Harry Osborn's soul basically to be given that absolute power that he craves. And basically became Mephisto's pawn for him. But with the slow burn and everything, I still enjoyed Nick Spencer's run of Amazing Spider-Man. I thought it was rushed at the end, but seeing like classic Spider-Man villains and and supernatural elements along with the city street views of Spider-Man, and bringing back like the Sinister Six and the Kindred were basically a great pair of villains, and it was just a great concept. But then Nick Spencer decided to go to Substack, and if the rumors were true, he was basically pushed out by the editorial department because they didn't think that they didn't want to end one more day just then. So basically, Nick Spencer decided to leave Marvel and go to Substack, and but having him come back, basically finishing what he wanted to do, would be a good idea. I'll be 100% into that. And if anything, and if anybody could come up with taking a mess and that Zeb Wells did, I think it would probably be Nick Spencer. Al Ewing is another person I'd like to see take over ASM because of the way he's been handling Venom. Venom has had a great character development ever since ever since like it ever since he's been separated from Spider-Man. I mean, he's a cancer survivor. He became a villain to an anti-hero to a full-blown hero, and he even reconnected with his son, with his son, and it really irks me that probably Venom has had more character development than Peter. I mean, for the past 10 years, Peter has been stuck in this stagnant state of being alone, penniless and friendless, and just doing everything alone. And this has been really frustrating. I mean, we want like Peter to actually develop as a character. We want to see him progress, and Al Ewing, he actually helps with the progression of characters, and plus he has a little bit of that fantasy sci-fi element that he could bring in and hopeful and like make make it better, because we do know that Mephisto and his buddy, the God of Chaos, have been screwing with Peter over this last run, and maybe he could fix it with what he has. So hopefully hopefully that's another person I'd want to see throw his hat in the ring of Amazing Spider-Man. J.D. DeMatteis is one of the most prolific writers of Spider-Man that I think should at least be given a chance to try and take over of Amazing Spider-Man and work full time. I mean, he gave us Craven's Last Hunt, which actually like Zeb Wells completely ruined, but at least it did have at least a good one or two good scenes in it. But then J.D. DeMatteis probably will not be able to take it. I mean, he is getting long in the tooth, but he has been working great with doing other flashback series such as Spider-Man Craven's Lost Hunt, Shadows of the Green Goblin, and even the upcoming Blood and Black. But hopefully, if given the chance, I think J.D. DeMatteis can actually bring Spider-Man out from the rut he is in and make this character good. I mean, one of the things that he said, that I think it was J.D. DeMatteis said, was that Spider-Man as a character is all about responsibility. So adding to that responsibility always heightens the character. So have Spider-Man be married again, have MJ having a kid on the way. It's not going to dampen the storytelling. It's going to improve the storytelling because Spider-Man is all about responsibility. It's one of the biggest, it's his main catchphrase. With great power comes great responsibility. So at least give one of the veterans a chance. And there's another veteran I want to see on this Spider-Man, on Amazing Spider-Man, if he is available. The other veteran I want to see come on is J. Michael Straczynski. Now, I know he's getting a lot of crap for doing One More Day, but he didn't really want to do it. It was basically editorial that painted him into a corner after the fallout of One More Day, of Civil War, actually. And and basically JMS left Marvel after that because he felt he had no more creative freedom there. So he went to DC, didn't work out over there, so he went back to television. And now he's back at Marvel doing Captain America, and I heard he's doing a good job. The reason I want JMS to come back is because he wrote incredible characteristics between Peter, Mary Jane, and the rest of the cast of Amazing Spider-Man. He brought a whole new generation to Amazing Spider-Man after Howard Mackey did with the next chapter, and before that it was the Clone Saga that caused people to turn to turn away Spider-Man, and he basically became the modern father to Spider-Man. He can make this work. He can undo what Zeb Wells has been doing. Bring back the time, and hopefully have Peter and Mary Jane back together. Have Peter being a responsible adult, not this man child that he is, that's moping himself and looks like he's about to go up on go to self delete himself at the end of a series. Hopefully that they'll give him in, if they do bring him in, hopefully the editorial will give him the freedom he needs. That's all we can pray for. If editorial gives these any of these writers the freedom that they need to tell the story and not just focus on the status quo, because nobody wants the status quo, and everybody wants Peter to have at least some semblance of happiness. And but I digress. But if JMS comes in, I will be very, very happy. The last one I want to see is Chip Zdarsky. Now, Chip Zdarsky seems to be wrapping up his tenure at Batman in DC with absolute power, but Chip Zdarsky has had great Spider-Man runs in the past, and this is like 2016. He had great Spider-Man runs with great storytelling, great character development, and some of them weren't even Spider-Man main Spider-Man 616. He did Spider-Man Life Story. He did Spider-Man Shadows of the Spider, and he did an incredible job with Peter Parker's Spectacular Spider-Man. But one of the reasons I think that he won't take the job is because he doesn't want to be part of the conversation of Amazing Spider-Man. If he does, he doesn't want to take the job because he doesn't want to be be criticized for his work as it's being the main canon. And I guess that working on Batman for all those years really took a number. But he has done great jobs with Spider-Man before and Daredevil, and I'm hoping he really changes his mind with this, because I think Chip Zdarsky would be a great addition to actually fix all of Zeb Wells' mistakes, all of what he has done, and Chip Zdarsky can do a great job. He did a better Daredevil Gone Rogue story than Zeb Wells did of Spider. Well, what did Spider-Man do? But it is just it, and he even had some supernatural elements when Zeb Wells also had some supernatural elements, but his was far beyond than Zeb Wells. So I'm hoping that Chip Zdarsky come comes in, because I really know that the critics have been going after him for his Batman run, and I hope that he really brings his A game with Amazing Spider-Man, because he knows this character so well. It's not Batman. It's not any other hero that he's working on in DC. It's basically Spider-Man, and he has done a great job with Spider-Man. So I really hope he comes in. Well, anyways, those were the six choices I wanted to come in and fix Zeb Wells' mistakes for Amazing Spider-Man. And I'm not sure which one we'll get, but hopefully it'll be a good guy. It'll be a good writer, and it also depends with editorial if they'll give the writer the freedom that they want, because it really seems like they really let Zeb Wells have at it, and Zeb Wells was going through a divorce around the time, and I'm not saying making excuses for the guy, because I really think that he really progressed himself through Peter Parker and Mary Jane through his ex-wife, and I'm just going. And this is just that was just off the top of my head, but I digress. The the Zeb Wells run is has been very painful to read. It's very his writing was a mess. He and I was actually excited when he was announced that he was coming into Amazing Spider-Man, because he did such a great job at Hellions, and he actually made one of the best Krakoa era books in the X-Men series. But I guess he didn't have what it took to do, and he's done Amazing Spider-Man in the past, but I guess he didn't have what it takes to do Amazing Spider-Man, and every and this is going to be part of a black mark in his resume. But so long, Zeb. I wish you the best, but please don't come back to Spider Man. Anyways, this has been Bandido Bane, the well rounded nerd, the Super Spider Man fan, and the Warhammer noob, saying, keep playing and God bless.